Hello and welcome to the OmniTalk Fast Five, sponsored by Takeoff and the A&M Consumer and Retail Group. Today is January 21st, 2021, which is a really fun date to say. And I am your host, Chris Walton, joined by the woman who is now warming up to Peloton, Ann Mazinga, and everyone's favorite Jersey girl who isn't actually from New Jersey, Emma the intern. And you are blowing up Instagram and LinkedIn with you're doing CrossFit workouts, Peloton workouts on CrossFit bikes. It's insane. What were you doing this week?
Chris, I am not one to claim that I am always right. And so in an effort to understand in an effort to understand your point of view, Chris, I signed up for the 2-month free Peloton membership because I really feel like there's so much going on in this space, and not just from a fitness capacity, which obviously I have a personal vested interest in because I own gyms that can only be open in minor capacity right now, but also just when we look at what the potential is for retailers in this space and fitness brands, whether you're equipment, apparel, technology, to become retailers and this bigger ecosystem. So yes, I am polling the internet on what their experiences are like with all of these brands, and trying to figure out and make sense of and find the common threads and who can really win in this space.
Yeah, you were killing it. Well, and you did that by specifically putting a video of a work. I thought what you did was brilliant because you put a video of yourself on a non-Peloton exercise bike, right?
Exactly.
And you're huffing it, by the way, in that. I was like,
oh,
damn,
God.
girl, you go.
It's a hard workout, let me tell you, but so good. And that's why, as I was doing that it kind of occurred to me. I was like, okay, this is crazy. I've got Lulu on, Nike on. I'm on a Rogue Echo bike, mind you, not an Assault bike. That is a different brand. I've been corrected by several people.
Wow.
Assault is a brand like Kleenex. So on a Rogue Echo bike, which is a CrossFit bike, in a gym, doing this. And also I was by myself for the other people that were like, why aren't you wearing a mask?
But what you did, I thought was really cool too. So you showed that there is potentially the opportunity here to do Peloton workouts on other equipment, which I think makes the Precor acquisition really interesting when you start talking about Peloton's eventual entry into other workout spaces. But then you also you showcased all the different things you're doing, within that workout and how many different companies are involved. And then you asked other people to share that. And that's really interesting because it shows just how many spaces there are for the hardware companies, the apparel companies, the equipment companies, although it is kind of hardware in a lot of ways. There's so much space for all these people to go. And Goldberg was saying, who knows if anybody wins. Jason Goldberg was one of the people that was chiming in. Who knows if anybody wins out on this whole thing. Right. But it shows you that these tentacles are there for Lulu with Mirror, Peloton, Nike still getting in this game. You had a point with me too, with Spotify that I thought was really intriguing too, how music plays into this as well, or Apple.
Yep. Yeah. Emma threw in the Apple Music component too. That's one for me so far. That's been one of the biggest takeaways, is that the music and the trainers or influencers, as we'll call them, also have a huge impact on the success of each of these platforms. So yeah, it's been in the news a ton. I think follow up, New York Times just did an article. Lauren Thomas and I were chatting about this from CNBC. She just wrote a big article about this. So, I think that it's going to be around, and we definitely love to have this debate. So send us your thoughts and comments.
But so net though, you are coming around. You're softening to this. And credit to you, Mrs. OmniTalk was like, I got to give Ann credit. She thinks something and then she went out and tried it instead of just having her opinion without trying it, which I think is really cool. And that says a lot about who I think you are too, in terms of
if it strengthens my right? Yes. And if it strengthens my debate against you, Chris, I'm going to do it.
Yeah. And your quads at the same time, right? Then you're in good shape.
You know it.
Of course. All right. Well, hey, this was I even got a fun show today. From a headlines perspective, this was a pretty slow week. It's got to say it was probably one of the slowest weeks I can remember. I'm sure you guys feel the same way. There just wasn't a lot happening. But what was happening, I think, was pretty darn fun. So to give you a lowdown, we've got this week's Put Us on the Spot question from A&M, which has to do with the new Smart Cart news from Kroger. We're going to talk Macy's opening up more small format stores. Walmart, and Western Union. And we close, of course, no surprise to anyone who's a loyal listener of this show, with the big news that Marc Lore is now officially leaving Walmart. Wait for it, guys. But first,
who's saying wait for it now? Hey,
I know me, right? But this time, wait for it, right? Wait for it. But first,
I can't.
We're going to start with Costco, Ann. You ready for this?
I am ready. You guys, Costco, even though they famously said just a couple of months ago, not gonna do it, rolls out curbside with Instacart at 3 New Mexico clubs. So according to USA Today, 3 Albuquerque-based clubs have rolled out the new service in partnership with Instacart. So members can purchase about 2,000 items, including groceries, jewelry, electronics, for a $10 pickup fee per order on minimum orders of $100. So Costco says also not to worry. There will be dedicated pickup spaces, like the Costco shoppers are going to pay attention to those. And that a special note that Costco already partners with Instacart online for on-demand grocery and same-day deliveries. Now, we talked about this week, Chris. You were like, why Instacart? How does this play into all of this?
Yeah, I mean, I'm curious. Well, before we even go there, like, what's your what's your kind of each of yours take? I mean, Emma, we've never really talked about where Costco fits into your kind of Gen Z lifestyle. Like, what's your thoughts on this one?
I've never been to a Costco.
What?
We had
so
BJ's and we had BJ's out on the East Coast.
Yeah. Okay. You've been to BJ's though.
So I just can't get over the $10 pickup fee and the minimum order of $100. Like, that's a big no from me.
Right. Okay. But I mean, yeah, and I guess that's an interesting comparison too with what it would just cost to get the delivery going. So yeah, that's a really interesting point, Emma. Ann, what do you think?
Well, I would pay certainly more than that to never have to step foot inside Costco. So I might not be the right person to ask. I love the Costco product. Oh, he loves it. Loves. And my parents too, obviously.
Yeah, right.
Mike's
buying slacks at Costco.
Oh yeah. I mean, down in Florida, let me tell you, there was multiple purchases made from the Costco store in Fort Myers. But here's the deal. So I think that, Chris really brought up why Instacart. And I think that for me, it makes complete sense. One, Costco is saying, like we said, not more than a couple of weeks ago, like, we're not even interested in this. We don't need to do it. Our sales are great. Let's keep on going. Chris, you wrote an article in Forbes about this that was really great. But I think what happens is they maybe realize that they did, in fact, need at least to test curbside pickup. Right. And they already have the Instacart infrastructure in place. Now, I'm getting conflicting reports about like who's actually doing the fulfillment. They're saying that Instacart's doing curbside fulfillment, but then they're also saying that like the employees of Costco are doing this picking. Net, we know that like there's some procedure and infrastructure set up to fulfill the Instacart orders. Right. My guess is that they're just using that technology to do this as a small format test in these 3 stores. But the infrastructure is there already. Why not test it out, see what happens? And I'm guessing that's why this $10 fee is coming on top of this order, is that they've got to pay for that technology or for that Instacart partnership in some capacity or another. And that's just how they're covering costs for now. But I think it's great. I mean, they'll learn something from it. So
yeah. I think that your points are both interesting in like juxtaposition with each other too. I think, Emma, your point about, okay, like, how does this really compare to delivery, which I hadn't thought about going into this. And then Ann, your point about, I think Instacart's really interesting too. And you're right. I mean, I did write about this in September, and I was pretty blunt in that article that like, I thought Costco's disdain for curbside pickup was not a smart move. And that, at some point you're going to have to test this because it's what consumers want. It's what you mentioned, BJ's. It's what BJ's has been doing. It's what Sam's Club is doing. And look, here we are 3 to 4 months later, and they're starting to test it. And there were a lot of people that even poo-pooed me writing that at the time and were like, no, Costco doesn't need it. Look at their business model. And even calling me out with direct quotes in some of their writings. And, oh, by the way, I say to all those people, look at me now, and you know who you are. So listen up, because like they're doing it. But here's my thing. I don't think this is the right test. Like I read the tea leaves with this. Like, okay, it's doing it. It's in the expectation, but like I was on a webinar last night with C-suite execs from convenience stores. this is important for everyone to hear. Convenience stores are talking about pickup, at curbside or even at the pump as being like a long-term thing that customers are now going to do, that it's not just a pandemic related activity. Like it's something that you have to offer. We're talking convenience stores, right? Like, so why the hell wouldn't you expect that from Costco? That's going to be a competitive differentiator between BJ, Sam's Club, whomever else tries to get in this game. And who's to say, like some of the things we're, seeing out of Target too, who's to say they're not going to have bulk pickups somewhere at some point? Like it's a whole way to get into a bulk pickup game if you can get people to go to your warehouse, and people will do it if they can save money. So like this landscape is not built out at all. And then here's the thing, you're testing it with Instacart. So that makes me, and you're charging a fee for it. So like, what are you doing? Are you bought into this? Or are you like, yeah, you know what? We're getting a lot of feedback from consumers. We're not really thinking it's going to work. So let's just outsource this to like Instacart, which by the way, let's give Instacart another sellable thing that they can give to retailers and prove out and make them the first point that you're going through to buy stuff. Yeah, that's a good move. Like we've talked about that ad nauseum. But yeah, I'm going on a rant here, but intentionally, but like, that's not the way to do this. So it makes me actually wonder if like the executive team is like, okay, let's try this and let's see if we're surprised. And you're shaking your head. I'm onto something, aren't I, as I'm talking about it? I think so. I think that's what's happening here. And here's what's going to happen. They are probably going to be surprised. And they're going to be like, oh shit, yeah, this thing works. And then they're going to be like, oh crap, now we got to figure out how to do it ourselves, which is fine, I guess. But I don't know. I'd go a different route personally. What do you think, Ann?
I'm thinking if I'm on the store of the future team at Costco, I'm like, this is a win, man. We got 3. They were saying none 2 months ago, right. And now we got 3 stores. I don't care who we have to test it with. At least I can prove, at a very MVP way that this is a viable thing that we should be putting resources towards. So
the 25-year-old who works there, who wants to go to the bar and doesn't want to waste time going into the store, but buy everything there. Out is really wanting this and really happy today. Yeah. All right. Well, our next headline is super fun. And this is our put us on the spot headline from NM. And as I said before, it has to do with Kroger. So late last week, Kroger announced that it will roll out, Emma, you're going to love this name, the KroGO shopping cart in one of its Ohio stores just outside of Cincinnati. According to payments.com, the carts are built by Caper, and they come with a built-in video screen that is like a small version of the scanners Kroger has at its checkout lanes. And then customers can swipe the rewards cards, scan and weigh items as they put them into the cart. And of course, it keeps a running total the whole time. And when they're done, customers can just walk out of the store. Now, and Emma, here is the question. With Kroger getting into this smart cart game, we now have several cashierless options developing in the marketplace. Of course, we've got Amazon Go. Amazon has its own Dash smart cart. And as we've talked about in the last few weeks, Amazon has licensed its Just Walk Out technology to companies like Hudson News and Cibo Express. And of course, Grabango has also launched their first checkout free store in Pennsylvania with Giant Eagle. Okay, now we've got Kroger and Caper in the mix. So with all of that, is there room for all of these touchless checkout technologies in the market over time? Or does this reek of the HD, DVD, Blu-ray format wars where one format ultimately wins out? And it sounds like you want to go first on this one. You're already chuckling.
Oh, I just love that.
I think it's such a good question.
I know. I'm really loving these questions, Anna. Good job.
Yeah, this is awesome.
So I'm going to say, while I think this card is cool? Yes. I mean, it's fun. It's a cool piece of technology. We've seen it at trade shows for years. I think it's been definitely, but for me, I don't know that I'm all in on the cart. I'm going to be watching Amazon closely because I think if anybody's going to do it well or learn from it quickly and can put the resources and funds toward doing so, it will be Amazon. So that's where I'm going to be watching this very closely. But I'm actually more in favor of the other Kroger efforts they're doing, their scan bag go concept where, or it's Sam's Club, where the device, you're using a customer's device and you're really keeping like the elements simple. You don't have to have a cart that's got to work and then a checkout process that's got to work and a scale and all these things, and you're dealing with temperatures and all kinds of stuff. I think that to keep it simple, the Scan Pay Go for me seems like where I would focus most of my efforts, and the effort that I think is most scalable to most places.
Yeah, you're bringing up good points, Emma. I'm curious what you think too. Like, there's a little bit of this, like, and if you watch, there's a video in the article too, online now, and I circulated on LinkedIn this morning that shows you how big this thing is, how it works. Like, you do start to wonder too about like the trip type at a traditional Kroger store, and does this cart work for that, or does it cause more friction given how big it is? And so are there better options for like the quick trip that you just want to go in, get a few things a la Scan Bag Go, that kind of thing? Emma, how are you thinking about that?
I will say the KroGO cart might be the only shopping cart I would ever use, because I never use
You hate shopping carts?
Yes, they're so clunky and I never buy that much stuff. Like, it's just me. And so, but I think my prediction is that I think ultimately Amazon's going to win out with their just walk out technology. And it's over time just going to kind of get implemented in all these different places. Like, we're seeing it in the airport convenience stores and whatnot. So that's where I'm thinking.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. I mean, it's just better. It's more pervasive. Like, no one has to change their habits. Like, if they can make Go Grocery 40,000 square feet to, capture 95% of what you do in a traditional grocery store. Yeah, that just seems like the better answer. Of course, you got the scalability issues in terms of processing power and hardware cost and figuring all that out, retrofitting stores. Yeah. But, at some point you'll figure that out. But yeah, I don't know. This cart thing is tough for me. Like, they're believe it or not, even though I've been really down on carts, you guys are going to laugh at me when I say this, but I'm kind of like Ann with Peloton on this. And I like to change my mind too, but carts are growing on me, but I want to qualify that. They're growing on me not for shopping. They're actually growing, and Emma, and Ann, you too, you'll understand this, but I think they're growing on me more for operational use cases. So what people are doing in the store and identify, like the workers, and identifying the items. Like, I think of that one use case at a Target store. At the end of the night, there was a huge cart of abandoned product that people just left strewn everywhere. That was the biggest pain in the ass to get back on the shelves, right? You had to scan each one and then find where it goes. But if all that was in the cart and already identified by a computer, that eliminates and speeds up, not doesn't eliminate, but it speeds up that task so immensely.
Yeah, that's a great point, Chris.
Yeah, I think, and there's, I think, a ton of use cases like that. But I think the part where that I have trouble with buying into the cart for shopping is this. It's 2 points really. One, it's inventory accuracy, right? If it's that's the big crux of omnichannel retailing. And if you're going to invest in computer vision AI, you're not getting that from a cart, because the cart is only what's in the cart. It's not what's happening around you, right? So that's why I still think like either cameras on the shelves, in the ceiling, are going to provide you more value relative to the cost over the long run. I think so it just makes sense. And then the second piece is, I just still hate the cart thing. Like, watch that video, and at the very end, did you guys see this? There's a sign, and you're pushing the cart, and it says, "Please put the cart gently back in place."
Yes.
Why are they saying that? Because they're worried like hell that these things are going to break. And by the way, every teenager that reads that is going to slam the crap out of that cart, right? And it's not even, and you got winter and the heat in Arizona and stuff like that. Like, I just don't see this working. And you guys remember, like, how many broken wheels have you had on carts? Or the rascals that you have to like recharge if you're working stores and they never goddamn work. Like, that's what you're gonna have here, and there's just better ways. So for me, I'm more with you, and and Emma. I mean, I think there's still better ways. Like, and I'd be using Scan and Go still as my interim step. And any last thoughts on that? I'm on rants of all time today.
You are today.
For this. We haven't even gotten to Lore yet, man. I gotta keep this crescendo. I don't know. I might spontaneously combust.
Hold on to your horses, everybody. No, the only thing that I think that I would emphasize, or my biggest question was, how much are you able to learn? You look at the retrofitted stores that just walk out technology, like as new products come into play, like how much are you sharing that information? Are they cloud-based? Like, are they able to continuously update that product set so that you can have the accuracy that you definitely are going to need if you're letting people just walk out of there? So.
Yeah, more to come on this. I think it is a cool way for companies to sound tech, but I don't know that you really are if this is what you're doing. And I even think Amazon might know that, but they just did it to sound cool. This might be one thing they did to sound cool, and Amazon doesn't usually do that.
They are definitely cool.
But I mean, the one thing they did where it's like, we really just did this to sound cool versus like, we're kind of testing it, but they are kind of testing it at the same time. But we'll see, time will tell. And there's still a lot to go before, we get to scalability like this in this DVD Blu-ray war, so to speak. Or Emma, which you don't remember, Betamax VHS. That's the better analogy.
Or laser discs. We didn't even talk about laser discs.
8-track tapes, Emma. I don't know.
Reel to reel.
Emma, speaking of real, Emma, reel us in. What's next?
All right. So Macy's is opening their second smaller format Market by Macy's location now in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. And supposedly the store is going to have full service and self-checkouts, as well as same-day DoorDash deliveries. And they're going to have a BOPIS service where a Macy's associate will walk your stuff out to your car for you for curbside pickup. So before I pass this off, I would just why? I don't understand this at all. And then also, I couldn't find any kind of numbers on the first Market by Macy's location. No. So of course, resourcefully, I looked at all the Google reviews of the store. And so the general consensus is that the store is beautiful, the coffee shop is great, but the merchandise sucks. And like, what are you doing the whole point of these stores was to like amp up merchandising and try the off mall location. Yeah. But if you can't even get the merchandising, right, what are you doing?
And how's the merchandising different from Macy's, which is probably just, in a suburban mall right down the road, right? Yeah. So you're not buying this. You're not on this one too. I got to go first on this one too, Ann, because this story reminded me of something you said. Like, there's a tell in this story that this idea sucks. I think, and to use it to quote millennial Gen Z speak, that it sucks. Like, and here's what I think the tell is. It's this: they're touting self-checkout. Right. So here's my question, because Ann, I know you remember this. Do you remember when Jeff Gannett was up on stage at Shop Talk touting self-checkout, and then you went in and tried it? Tell everybody the experience, because then I want to talk about like why I think that's germane to this. But like, what was your experience with what he was saying was self-checkout?
Well, the worst part about Macy's is that, number one, you can't find somebody to check you out to begin with. And the way that they're solving this was another checkout, another set of lines for you to wait in. And I forget what it was, but it was just like, I think we wrote something.
It was like another
the way to save Macy's from waiting in line at Macy's is adding more lines to wait in at Macy's. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Yeah. It was like a self-checkout station that you had to go to, where you were kind of like, what are you really doing here? And so that's my question, because and if somebody's down there in Texas, please let us know how the hell this works, because like self-checkout in apparel, what are you doing with the security tags there? Like, how are you not waiting in a line? So if you're touting this as cool and transformational, it's probably not, because otherwise that would be making headlines in terms of like, whoa, Macy's has done a self-checkout process that gets rid of the hang tags, and you can really just walk out of the store, similar to Amazon Go and everything else we just talked about. Lions and tigers and bears, oh my. Like, it's just, that's not what's happening here. And Emma, I think your other point, what is the math on this, right? Like, you're building these 20,000 square foot stores, you're adding all this overhead, and yet you have other stores nearby. So for this to work, they have to either be incredibly productive, which, given what you just said, Emma, to me is a huge challenge, because why is the product going to make them that much more productive than traditionally? Or they have to attract massive new swaths of customers in these markets. And given where the Macy's brand is and what it means to people, like, is that going to happen? Like, is the coffee shop going to do that when I have all kinds of other coffee shop and places to eat options? Again, then you're in the restaurant business, and we've talked about this. That's the hardest freaking business in the world. Harvard Business School professors won't even listen to business school cases on restaurants. That's how ridiculously hard they are to do. They won't even listen to them. So I don't know. What do you think here?
My God, this is the most rants ever happening in all OmniTalk time, I think. But
I'm like A+ rant today, dude. This is
I know
great.
you are.
I know everyone listening is probably like, dude, just shut up. But I'm like on it. I'm feeling it today.
Well, the key thing to point out, though, is they are closing 2 of the anchor mall stores that are right around these areas. So this will be, for some people, the only Macy's that they'll be able to shop at, this new format. And I thought that there's 2 things, it makes sense to cut back on your real estate, to reduce your footprint. Like, that all makes sense. But the real problem here is for Macy's and the concepts itself. Like, they're not doing like you said, anything notable. They're adding things that are old. They're just adding self-checkout. They're adding curbside pickup. Like, everybody's doing that. That's table stakes now. And you even had Rachel Steckman. I don't know if you guys heard this. She spoke at NRF last week.
Oh, I did.
Even Rachel said, who created the first South Lake concept, was like, yeah, this is not what I wanted it to be anymore. So she's completely just like, without saying it specifically, she's just like, yeah, this is not what I created. And this is now just this thing that Macy's kind of taken on to its own. So it makes sense what Emma's saying.
She's like, wait, hold on. She's like Michael Douglas in Traffic, where he's like the new drug czar and he's disavowing everything that happened before. Like, it's not his fault. That's so amazing. That's
there's definitely some passing of the baton clearly happening there. And Rachel wanting to free her name and her previous story concept.
God, we called that one.
With
Jeez, we were on the front end of that.
But the other thing too is like, what they're doing, this whole initiative that they're doing with this concept, is just taking the Macy's, moving it to smaller footprint and moving it off mall. And Daphne Howland at Retail Dive, I think she said it best in her article. She's like, you are basically just following Kohl's strategy. And how is that working out for Kohl's? Like, the off mall thing is not going to save you. You've got to get smarter, Macy's. You got to come up with some better ideas here to stay afloat.
Yeah, you have to answer the why, and the why is not going to be a coffee shop or restaurant and like this, like focus on the local brands. The reason local brands are local brands for a reason. Like, you got to get, they don't have the draw and the scalability that you expect to find other things. You need cool brands. You need things that people want and that want to bring people in. I'm with you guys. All right, and let's do story number 4.
Okay, you guys. So starting this spring, Walmart will now offer Western Union global services at their more than 4,700 U.S. locations. So for the first time in the U.S., Western Union services will be available and will include domestic and international money transfers, bill payments, and money orders. This partnership is happening in addition to the current Walmart financial services offerings and the fintech startup that we talked about last week in partnership with Ribbit Capital that they announced last week. So this is really interesting coming off the heels of last week's story. I think a Walmart spokesperson said that this will make Walmart the first major retail in the United States to provide international and domestic money transfers through multiple transfer principles, because they also have a few other platforms that they allow you to do money transfers. But for me, the most important thing here is that a lot of communities across the country see Walmart as more than just a store. So I think this is a smart move for Walmart to add to the conveniences of the one-stop shop of a Walmart. And the more that those customers can do in a Walmart, the better, and the more loyal that Walmart customers will become because of that offering. So curious what you guys think here.
Yeah, I think it's a smart move. I mean, I think you're right. I mean, I think like you look at the macroeconomic indicators, like this activity is only going to continue to grow over time. I think it's, my question has been, and I put this in the newsletter this morning, like, is it coincidence that it's coming right after the announcement last week with Ribbit, or is it part of a grander plan? I think the timing is weird. Like, I would have actually gone first. If I was the PR team, I would have gone first with this and then gone with Ribbit to say how you're moving it forward. Also makes me wonder, because Western Union's so big, like what kind of entanglements are there as you try to tap into this same need state with the younger generations, and where are you going to go next? Like, are they going to be free to do that technologically, which starts to raise some questions for me? I don't know, Emma, what do you think?
It sounds real complicated, and this is a bit over my head, but I also, one of my first thoughts was like, why didn't they release this story before the Ribbit Capital one?
You thought that
like
too?
That just didn't really make sense.
Yeah, you kind of went new, interesting, and now you kind of went older school. So I think that the test will be like, what are they really doing in this space? But I think to your point, and macroeconomically, it's still a reason to go. This financial services for many people might still be a reason to go to that store, or it's something to put in the entire like kind of Walmart-ish, Walmart Plus ecosystem. So, we'll see what happens next. All right, last story. We saved it for the end. And I know a lot of the loyal listeners are going to be waiting for this one, but I hate to say it, guys, but the king is dead. Marc Lore is leaving Walmart to build the city of the future. Yes, according to Vox, Marc Lore, who sold his startup Jet.com for, just about $3 billion, and then headed up Walmart's e-com business for the last 4 years, is now leaving his full-time role at the end of the month. This surprises no one if you've been following this closely, at least not us. Anna will spit her coffee out as I said that, but it really does, because literally he has done nothing. Walmart has talked about him to 0 degree since the Sam Walton pickup fiasco video of him delivering groceries to someone's fridge inside of their house. So now here's where the story gets even better for me. He now plans to set his sights on something bigger, something he is calling a city of the future, supported by, quote, a reformed version of capitalism. It's a new model for society that he will be testing, end quote. What do you guys think of this? I have to let you guys go first because I am going to go on an all-timer here, and I already have today. So this one's going to be fun. Like those quotes, I just can't even take it. But Emma, let's start with you because Ann and I have a huge history here. What do you think?
My first idea with this was like, man, shut up. That's not going to happen. And like, now I'm just thinking, why don't we send him, Bezos, Musk, and Kanye West off into the desert? They can build their city of the dreams.
I'm good with Bezos. I actually think Bezos knows what the hell he's doing, but okay, Kanye West. Okay, we go Kanye.
I'm just throwing him in there for the money.
On a desert island.
Yeah, just go out there, do that. It's never going to happen. Okay, like, bye.
So you were kind of like, I can't take this. All right, Ann, what do you think?
Oh, man. I mean, this thing's already like fully funded. You guys realize that? Like he's got friends in all kinds of high places. So I think this totally makes sense. I'm not surprised at all. I was a little surprised that they let him go so early because I think he's supposed to be there until September at least, right? Like officially.
There was some, they let him out early for some reason, which tells you something too, by the way. But
sure, exactly. But there's so many random things about this. Like there's some very Trump-esque sounding things like I'm going to make a TV show. I'm going to write a book. I'm going to create my own village or whatever. And I think that, I think it could be kind of interesting to see if he actually pulls this off. I mean, it's going to be fun. Come on.
He's the greatest showman since P.T. Barnum.
Yes, exactly.
I just can't get this.
It's very obviously about entertainment value, Chris. It's 100% entertainment. And, it's not like it's going to matter for the rest of us anyway, because we don't have a doorman and the city will likely require that. So, I mean.
That's a good
who cares?
Anecdote for those that have listened for a while. I can't. All right. So I got 3 thoughts on this. All right. I was trying to think of like, how do I cogently kind of wrap everything up in a very cogent way, and like, which I just said twice, and I understand that I did that, but here are my thoughts. I think number one, I think you have to be, pretty darn full of yourself to say you're going to develop a better version of capitalism, because what's going to develop a better version of capitalism? Freaking capitalism. Like that's the whole point. That's what capitalism is. It's not one person going out and doing it. So that just drives me insane. You can see like the blood popping in my veins already.
Yes.
Now, here's my challenge to everyone out there, to you, Emma, the intern, and you as well. I challenge everyone out there. Give me one thing Walmart has done over the last 4 years that you can pin conclusively to Lore, or that Walmart wouldn't have done on its own. Because I'm going to tell you, it's not Spatialand, it's not Jet Black, it's not Bonobos, it's not ModCloth. The list goes on and on of like many, many millions of dollars that were spent that, from my perspective, amounted to nothing. And everything else that Walmart has done, they were already doing in Sam's Club and places like that. And by the way, so was the competition. Like Target way out in front on some of the stuff that Walmart's been doing of late. So like, tell me what he did and what that $3 billion accomplished, and could Walmart have done it on its own? I think it could have. That's always been my premise, or that there were smarter ways to have gone even faster over the last 4 years under his tenure. And then here's my thing. Yeah, this is why I cannot get on board with you. Like, if I'm an investor, I'm not getting snookered on this city thing. I think this is just like a bigger bet. And now you got to be careful because he's playing with house money. And here's what I think is going to happen. Check this out. Like diapers.com. All right, fine. but it was never going to be a going concern. They even talk about that in the articles. That's why he had to get out of it. Jet.com, what was that beyond the sales pitch? It amounted to nothing. Walmart's even shut it down, for crying out loud. Like, what was the real idea there? What was the going concern money-making venture? So again, maybe you're right, Ann. He's going to get people to buy into this like you. He's going to figure out how to get investors that are in on it early.
Hold on.
Let me finish. He's going to buy into this early. He's going to get people buying it early. He'll probably make a ton of money. He'll probably make those investors a ton of money, just like he probably did on Jet.com and everything else. But then you're going to look 5 to 10 years later, and you know what this city of the future is going to look like? I'm going hometown on this one. It is going to look like goddamn Tombstone, Arizona, 10 to 15 years from now. That's what this thing is. Write it down, everyone listening. Tombstone, Arizona. That's what this city of the future is going to be like, circa 2050 or whatever the hell it is. So anyway, all right, go ahead. I'm done. Rant over.
I'm just clarifying that I'm not saying I would invest in this. I'm saying I'm looking at it from pure entertainment value.
Oh, entertainment. Oh yeah, this is hilarious. Yes.
I'm not buying in on future city concepts.
This is the Bugsy Siegel of 2021, man. Like, I'm all over this. This is going to be must see, whatever you call it today. It's like TV.
Laserdisc. See Laserdisc.
Yeah. What was the Friday thing on like ABC? What was that called? Like with step by step and like,
TGIF.
TGIF. Yeah. This is like TGIF.
Of course. Yeah. Obviously.
No, I can't wait. All right. Well, any last thoughts on this?
No.
Just
go for it, dude.
We beat the dead horse riding its way out to Tombstone, Arizona.
I think you've done that. Yes,
I think it's
successfully.
That's my all-time favorite line, just for everyone listening. All right, well, that wraps us up. It was a ton of fun. Like I said, today's show, we were just going to hopefully have a ton of fun. I know I did. I'm not sure if everyone else did, but there were a lot of fun headlines. There wasn't a lot of headlines this week, but the headlines
we're gonna need a blood pressure sponsor after this one for the amount of craziness that just ensued.
We need a coffee sponsor. That's what we need. If you're listening and you want to sponsor the coffee for our show, let us know, because we're all amped up. But anyway, happy birthday today. Great birthdays today too. Great birthdays. My favorite accidental tourist, Gina Davis, the star of one of my favorite all-time basketball movies. If you've never seen it, check it out. One-on-One with Robbie Benson. Oh, and I know you're a big fan. And the woman who once made Nicole Kidman jealous of her on-screen relationship with Tom Cruise in the movie The Firm, Karina Lombard. Happy birthday to all three of those wonderful people. And remember, if you can only read or listen to one retail blog in the business, make it OmniTalk. Our Fast Five podcast is the quickest, fastest rundown of all the week's top news. And our twice weekly newsletter tells you the top 5 things you need to know each day, and also features special content exclusive to us and just for you, all within the preview pane of your inbox. You can sign up for it today at www.omnitalk.blog. Thanks as always for listening in. Please remember to like and leave us a review wherever you happen to listen to your podcast or on YouTube. We say it every week. Some of what we say might be right. Some of what we say might be wrong. But what matters most is the conversation. Be careful out there. The OmniTalk Fast Five is brought to you by the A&M Consumer and Retail Group and Takeoff. Takeoff is transforming grocery by empowering grocers to thrive online. The key is micro-fulfillment, small robotic fulfillment centers that can be leveraged at a hyper-local scale. Takeoff also offers a robust software suite so grocers can seamlessly integrate the robotic solution into their existing businesses. To learn more, visit takeoff.com.